Hello, I'm making this video for a Cloudy Nights user named GloB, G-L-O-B. He provided this data um, and is learning processing, and I just wanted to show him and anybody else what I did. Um, First, I am no expert. I just started using this program in July. Um, my terms and my techniques may be wrong, but uh, that's what I do. And hopefully this helps you. I don't think there really is a absolute way you have to do things, but so this is what I do. This is how I made this particular post that I put on his forum string. I just wanted to show you how I did it. So I'm using the three narrowband channels, HA, which is this one. I'm actually going to change this to HA, and I have an O3. I'll change to O3, and then the S2, S2. And the first thing that I do, these are all stretched with, or they're preview stretched, I should say, with the screen transfer function. If I click on this, you can see what it really looks like. This is what it really looks like. So the issue with these stacked images are there's only 2 hours of integration, so there's quite a bit of noise in here. So the first thing that I do, it's actually the second thing I do, but I'm going to make it the first on this particular one. I already did it to these other two, but I'm going to try to get rid of some of this noise. And the way I do it is the script. There is a series of scripts called Easy Processing Suite. If you don't have those, they're free. Go download them. All of them are very good. I've never used LiveStack, but I've used the other ones and they're all great. So especially this one, I use this one all the time. This is fantastic, easy denoise. So I'm going to click on that. And this is basically iterations is how smooth to get it. It takes a while to do this, so I'm just going to do 900. And I like to get my images as smooth as possible up front, and then later on, if I need to do it again, I'll do it again. But so that's my first step, and as you can see, it's only on 8%, 10%, so I'm going to pause and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so it's almost done here. Let's do its last little bit of stuff. Wait on it. So it made the noise, and there's still noise there, but it's a lot better. It's a lot smoother. I only use 900 iterations. I usually use 1400. These files are huge. I don't. My camera is only 3000 by 3000. This one is 6200 by 4200 almost. So I don't normally use this big of a file. So just in the interest of time, I didn't use as much noise reduction as I normally do. So the next thing that I would do is star alignment. These are already star aligned, but you can't combine them if they're not aligned. So the next step would be to star align them. And then after that, and you can't do this until it is star aligned, would be to crop all of the black space out. You do that by basically finding all of the strange things with the frames. Like obviously the HA has a bit of black here and a black on the bottom. I think it has some on the top too, if I remember right. And then this one has black on the bottom, but it also has like a double stack. I'm not sure what happened, but it looks like he stacked some here and up here, and they didn't entirely match, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it needs to be cropped out. So I'm going to find the one that's most screwed up, which is HA, and make sure that it takes care of this stuff over here on the O3. So dynamic crop, and I'll bring the top down to deal with this weird stuff over here. And of course you take your time with this if it's your image. I'm just doing this as a demonstration, but once you get it where it will fix all of your frames, make uh, a single, um, I don't know what this is called, but if you have the one process down here with the arrow, you can apply it over and over and over, and that way you make sure you have everything lined up perfectly. So now I've got all of the weird stuff cropped out. I'll just get rid of that. And so I think now we're ready to combine the images. Yeah, so I like to do two different combines. The first is a standard SHO combine, which use channel combination. So for the R channel would be S, which is sulfur. For G would be HA. And for blue would be oxygen. And click the round button. Yeah, sorry about that. My son just came up the stairs. So this is the image. If I stretch it, it looks kind of weird. The reason for that is that this link is selected. I think it weighs all three channels together when it links that when it's linked. If you turn that off, it kind of figures out what would look better, and this is what you get. At this point, a lot of people will use the SCNR function to get rid of some green. I kind of like it. It does make it a little muddy, but this isn't going to be the image that we end up using, so I'm going to leave it for now. The other process I use is called a 4-ax method. I don't know. I saw it online on a YouTube video. This is the math for it. There's several different YouTube videos that use this, and it looks pretty cool. It's a little bit different. And I basically use this and I combine it with this one, and it comes up. It makes this a more gold-looking image. So I'll show you what that looks like. Again, it's not stretched yet. So we'll get the transfer function going on in here, stretch it. And there you go. It's kind of a red on the outside, turquoisey. And of course you can use SCNR to get rid of the green. This will turn blue and whatnot. But I'm not going to do that right now. So these are the two versions, and you know, they look okay. But I like a combination of both. So what I'll do is I'll use Pixel Math again. Use the expression editor. I have image 25. And I'll multiply that times about 7. And we'll add it to image 26 times 0.5. See what that looks like. Click it. And that's not what I wanted to do. Go back. I want a new image. Okay, and let's see what that looks like. So that's pretty cool. It's a bit more subtle than what you see over here, but that's all right. It'll come out when we start doing curves and whatnot. But it gives it a little bit more of a gold look to it. And it does kill the reds a little bit, but I don't know. It seems this you can do it however you want, but this is what I did, and I get a lot of good comments with that method, so you can do it if you like. So let's clean some of this stuff up here. So I'm going to go ahead and stretch this now after I clean all this stuff up. These are the originals. There's the original hydrogen alpha, and these are the two. I guess I can't do that. The two combines. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a stretch on them. So I use histogram transformation, and I use the stretch that PixInsight created. Pull it down here, apply it. Of course, it turns white. Reset the stretch, and now it's stretched. So I can get rid of that. Okay. So before I do anything here, whenever you enhance nebula, or anything else for that matter, anything you do is going to affect the stars. And as you can see, the stars already have some weird stuff going on. They've got halo, magenta halo. So if I would start jacking up the color here, it would do the same thing to the stars. So what I do at this point is I use StarNet 2, which is a free download, to make a star mask and get rid of the stars. So let's do that. And that's going to take a little while. So I'm going to pause it here, and we'll come back when it's done. Okay, there's our star mask. So I'll go ahead and let's go ahead and fix the stars. So as you can see, these stars still have that halo, ugly halo. The way you get rid of that is to invert the image, Control I, and as you can see, the halos are actually green. So we'll use SCNR with green to 100%, and there they go. So that should get rid of it. So we'll invert it back. Oops, click on this, invert back. So it got rid of those halos, and then what was there, or what should be there, is still there. So that you still get your color in your stars that's supposed to be there. Blue stars are blue, red stars are orange. So that kind of solves that. So fixed our star mask. We'll put it up here for later. Now normally when you get to this point on the image that doesn't have any stars in it, it starts to get noisy. This isn't too terrible yet. So I think we'll continue. So the first thing I'll do at this point is start applying some curves. And let's brighten it up. Oops, I have to do a preview here. There we go. Brighten it up. And do this in slow increments. Bring back the darks a little bit. So yeah, it's a contrast curve. So we'll apply that. And that actually doesn't look bad right there. So I'll apply it again. Now I'm going to reset. And at this point, I'm going to pump up the color. And I don't know what the C stands for. Maybe it stands for color. I don't think it stands for color, ABC. But anyway, just grab it around here and push it up, and you can see how it increases the vibrancy or whatever. But that looks cool. To me, that's over the top. I know a lot of imagers like to have it like this. Like I say, it's up to you. Do whatever you want, but to me, that's too much. So I'm going to stop there. What else? The darks are a little bit blue, but not really. I'm just going to leave it like that. So here's our new image, and you know what? I would probably, I'm not sure what I would do at this point. Just for the sake of showing you how to do it, on the post that I made, I used a luminance layer. So we'll go ahead and do that just so you can see how it's done. So this is the HA channel. It's got the most detail in it, so I'm going to use that. You don't have to do that. You could use, actually, you know what? You can use the luminance or the hydrogen alpha channel. That's normally what I do. Let's do something a little different. So I'm going to use this, extract the luminance portion, create a new frame. So it's got some pretty good detail in it. I'm going to minimize that for a little bit. So let's see if we can crank up the details in this. Let's see, let's try local histogram equalization. So this is a very dangerous one. You can see what it does. It kind of makes it really bad. If you turn this down to 1.2, let's see what we get. So if you use this little circle, it's the before and after. So really there's no change, very little change, just a little bit. So at 1.2 we'll crank up. I'm not sure what kernel radius does, but or what it means, but as you move it, it changes. So move it to where you like it, I guess. Maybe 1.4. Try that. That might be too much. What do you think? 1.3. Tab. Okay, we'll try that. Might be a little much, but that's kind of what this is all about. Experiment. If you don't like it, back up. Try something else. All right, go away. This is a little bit light, so I'm going to increase the contrast by using curves. Turn that up. I don't really need it much brighter, but I'd like to get the outside kind of dark, because when we apply it as a luminance, it's going to brighten up the bright areas and leave the dark areas kind of alone. That's probably too much. You can use this one over here. It kind of makes them, there's no longer curves, it's sharp points. Yeah, that's probably too much, but go like that. Yeah, I'm making it worse by screwing around with it. We'll just do that. What the heck? All right. Ugh, that looks terrible. We'll see what it does. So let's open up this image and use the Lrgb Combine. And this is image 27L. So we'll put image 27L in the luminance, turn off the RGB, and we'll leave these alone for the moment and see what it does. Whoa, whoa, no. I don't like that at all. So I'll go back. Try that. I mean, I know people that would like that. I don't know. It's not for me. I think this is too contrasty, my luminance layer. Let's see what happens if I do that and then crank up the saturation at the same time. If you lower this number, it increases saturation. So let me go back, see what it does. I don't know. That's not for me. I'm not into it. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go use this one and see if I can go back. Let's try that as a luminance. Maybe that'll be better. Lrgb Combine. Okay. And I'm taking more time than I wanted to, but I can't go on with an ugly picture. That's not bad. I'm going to crank up the saturation a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and click Chrominance Noise Reduction. Maybe lighten it up a little bit. And then, I have to hit back first. Back. Now we'll go. It's going to take a little bit longer because it's going to do some noise reduction. See what we get. Yeah. Not liking it. Not digging it. Not liking it at all. But, let me try clear him. I don't like going too crazy because you go too crazy and then all of a sudden um, it's it's over processed. And then you get noise and all kinds of weird clumpiness and all kinds of weird stuff going on. Let's just turn it up a little bit. That's not bad, I guess. Turn the blue down and put it back up. You see the basic what's going on here. So do what you like and play around and see what you get. I do have a weird I'm not sure what that's all about, so let's get rid of that process. Clone stamp. So what you do is you press Control, I think. Or no, let me increase this to 20. And I'm going to make it softer. I guess it's use the Control button and then dampen out. And don't forget to hit the check mark or it won't do anything. Okay, I'm just going to stop there. Next thing to do is to reintroduce the star mask. So we already fixed the stars. So to do that, all you do is go to Pixel Math and do the expression editor. This is image 27 plus star mask. Now, if your stars are really bright or bloated or ugly, you can multiply star mask like times 0.7 or 0.8 or something, and it'll put less of that image into the final image. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new image and run it. Okay, that's not too terrible. Go ahead and close these. That don't look too bad, so let me rotate that around. Is it this one? No. Geometry. Rotate clockwise. I know there's a trick to this, but I don't know what it is. There we go. So at this point, we can do some other fancy things. One of the things I would do, and I'll go ahead and do it, is under script, under utilities. For this particular image, there's a lot of black, dark nebula. So I would go ahead and use the dark structure enhance and probably turn that down to 20, maybe 24. It's really aggressive, so we'll see what that looks like. And that's probably too much. So I'll undo that, try it again. Dark structure enhance. Let's turn it down to 15 or 14. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can see what it does. I don't really like it, but yeah, I'll leave it. Okay, so there are plenty of other tools you can use to sharpen this and do this, that, and the other to it. I don't know. I'm not very good at them. Sometimes I try to use them. Sometimes I follow YouTube tutorials and whatnot. But I'm more comfortable with Photoshop. So at this point, I would go to Photoshop on this particular image. Photoshop doesn't necessarily make everything better. Sometimes it makes it worse. But for this image, I think I can do some good with Photoshop. So let me file, save as. Here's the one I did before. Let's call it, I'm going to put it, we'll just call it image 30. Save. 16-bit. Okay. I'm not sure what that was, but let me load up Photoshop and we'll come right back. Okay, I'm in Photoshop now. This is an older version of Photoshop. I think it's CS6 or something. It's before you had to get a subscription. This is just the standalone program, so it's not quite up to date and as fancy as the newest version, but it works for me. So the first thing, there's two basic things in Photoshop that are very powerful as far as astrophotography goes. The first one is basically Lightroom and a filter. And I'll show you how that works. First thing I do is duplicate the image. That way, if you don't like it, you can go back or you can get rid of it, or you can add in, through opacity, you can just put in part of it. But anyway, so I made a background copy. Then I go to the camera raw filter, which is Lightroom, basically. So there we go. So first thing, let's see, if we change the temperature, would that help or hurt? That's kind of cool. How about tint? Uh, don't. I think I'll just leave that alone. Clarity does really good. It really will. I don't know if you call it sharpen, but it kind of does a color contrast type of thing. Texture kind of adds 3D to it, so I'll add a little texture. If it's hazy, I'll dehaze it. So if I do it on this one, it looks like it's going to turn it green a little bit, so I'll leave it alone. Vibrance, we can crank that up a little bit. I don't like to mess with saturation. That seems to introduce more noise than vibrance does. But maybe I'm not using it right. I don't know. For the color mixer, I'll go down here. A little bit of green that I'm not too crazy about. Wouldn't mind if there's some more red. What red is there, we'll crank it up a little bit. A little bit orange. I don't know. Just mess around with it. The blue's pretty blue, but I think I'll leave it alone. As far as detail goes, I don't like to sharpen in Photoshop. It tends to over sharpen. It really messes with stars, and I don't like to do that. But I'll show you. I mean, right there's a slider. The noise reduction kind of makes it kind of over reduces noise. So I don't like to use that either. But that's the tool for that. Really, that's the only. I mean, there's lots of other tools here. But for this particular image, let's see, would contrast help? Yeah, a little bit, I guess. That's what's nice about this plugin is you can kind of grab the slider, and kind of move it around and see what it does. Like, that's kind of cool. I'll do that. What's the shadows look like? Oh yeah, let's turn them down a little bit. That's space, right? So that's pretty cool. I like that. It's still a little green. I'm going to turn the magenta up a little bit. I doubt that you can see it. But so this was the before and this is the after. It might be a little overkill, so I'm going to turn the opacity down to maybe 80%. So yeah, that looks better. So I'll go ahead and merge them. And the second powerful tool, and I'll go ahead and duplicate the layer again. Sorry, my mic just cut out. So the second tool is called high pass. So what you do there, and this kind of brings out, well, you can see exactly what it brings out. So if you look at the high pass filter, I don't know if I can zoom in. I'm sure I can. I just don't know how. But if you increase these pixels, it really gets ugly. So you have to be careful. So if you see that things that you would like to enhance, that's what I'm looking for. I don't really care about the gray stuff. I'm looking at stuff that I would like to enhance. And it looks like most of what I want to enhance is there. So I'll hit OK. Then you use overlay and you say, oh, that looks horrible. Well, we're going to mask all that out. So create a mask. Make sure the mask is highlighted. Invert the mask by Control I. Then go over here and grab a pen tool. Around 30%. Pretty small. Let's see if we can go in. Whoops. So we'll kind of paint in a little bit of detail on this thing. That's kind of the main focus of this, right? So you can, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but kind of brings the detail in. So, and you can spend a lot of time doing this. This is what this is one of the secret techniques that the big dogs do and don't let you know. You gotta kind of figure it out on your own. I use Photoshop quite a bit for regular photography. So this is kind of a trick where it can be similar for some other tricks than the terrestrial photography business. So that's kind of where I got it from. Although I did watch a couple YouTube videos where some guys showed their hand and did this. But so you can kind of see the before and after. It's hard to see. I'm sure it's hard to see in the video, but and it's really easy to go overboard when you do this. So you have to be real careful. And if you do go overboard, just turn the opacity down. And you can also blur the mask as well. So there you go. That's pretty much what I got. That's kind of how I made the image that I posted on Cloudy Nights. It's different every time. You never know what you're going to get, but I hope this helps. And like I say, play around with the tools and you might surprise yourself.